Okay, time to start. Good evening, class. This is Longshot Diddy. I will be your teacher tonight. This is the first time we will have a class like this in E-UNI. The topic of the night is Frigates and Hydra principle. Basically, I will introduce you the Hydra principle and the logic behind it. And then we will take our frigates and have fun while melting some baddies. Basically, it's like any other E-UNI classes. In the first hour, I will explain details, how it works, and what you should do during the fleet. And when we complete this, we will move on to ROM part. I'm hoping we can finish the first theoretical part in less than an hour, so we can have more fun. Basically, if you read the forum post clearly, I accept that you have the basic knowledge on some things like E-war, tackling, fleet operations, and those kind of things, and at least have a little bit experience in all of those that I mentioned before. Now, usually in most of the uni classes, teachers take the priority to speak in the class, and you can ask your questions through the class.e-uni channel. But this time, this will be a little bit interactive class. While I am explaining you the theory, I will ask some questions to you. You may or you may not answer the questions. When I ask the questions, I will put lines like this in the class.e-uni channel, and if you want to answer, you can put it up an X and I can call your name, and then you can speak on mumble, and answer the question, or if you don't have mic, you can just write down it in the class.e-uni. Okay, let's start the night. Now, if some of you may know, Hydra principle is a special tactic and a strategy, mostly used by an Agony Unleash, a corporation, PvP corporation, similar to ours, but mostly depends on PvP and not like a fully educated corporation, and they are very good at executing these tactics. What I want to do, I want to introduce you the details of the system, and I'm sure that we can make it work in our fleets. Now, what is the Hydra principle? Basically, first of all, let me give you our little wiki page. Well, this is just a simple wiki page. It's in the development stage, so please forgive any grammar or vocabulary errors, and you can use it like as a baseline. Now, the Hydra principle depends on strength of many, work as a power of one. Which means we are taking our little frigates and we are utilizing its powers to enhance its weaknesses and create a unibody working together. This tactic requires self-awareness of each member and acting according to their role in the fleet. Rather than standard fleets, it's expected you to act according to your self-awareness and your role and fit the strategy as you should be. Now, how it works? I will keep it brief. Simply, all of you work as a one single body and cover your weaknesses by creating power with your advantages. What are these weaknesses and advantages? Now, we are going to use frigates, so we should start assessing the frigates. Now, I want to see some weaknesses. What are the weaknesses of the frigates? Let's start with this. Okay, Blade, you are first, please.
Limited tank.
Very good. And Arok, any more? Let's move to the next. Kata, could you give me another weakness for the frigates?
Limited damage.
Yes, very good. And Alex Banor, do you remember any other weaknesses?
Not really, no.
Okay, you don't. Okay, basically.
Smart bombs.
Yes. Basically, you have got limited DPS, you have got limited tank. And these are the basic weaknesses of your ship. You can try to tank your ship with passive or active shield or armor tanks, but you won't have any chance against any bigger ships. So this is basically the main problem of the frigates. So, what? Yes, Kanda say capacitor. Bonnie says limited range. I should check the written ones. Jack Snipe says susceptibility to ECM. Limited slot for fit modules came from the Shepherd, and not many slots per MNR. Well, I agree some of those, but I didn't agree most of them. Let's return the advantages. Who wants to say? Please accept. Larry, give me an advantage, please. Agility, very good. Can do.
Speed.
Yes, very good. Alex, do you have another advantage?
Sig radius. Very small.
You mean the signature radius?
Yep.
Well, very good. Those are well-known strength of the frigates. Also, because most of the ships are bigger than yourself, it is easier for you to lock many targets before they lock you. Can you give me any more advantages? Yes, Jack?
It's easy to get into them and they're cheap.
Yes, exactly. Very good. And Aminar, do you have any others?
Not for now.
Okay, let's see. Let's wrap it up a little bit. We know that they are difficult to tank, almost no tank, but they are easy to buy, they are cheap, they are fast, they are agile. And those are the basic strength and the weakness of the frigates. I am sure that all of you know most of them. Now, how we will make this work? First of all, one other thing you forget is frigates. Most of the frigates have almost enough mid slots to use E-War. Why E-War is important? Let's make an assessment. If you try to tank a ship, a frigate, with armor and shield, you won't have chance against a bigger ship, right? But if you have, for example, an E-War module, and you are flying with a wingman or two or three E-War modules on a single bigger target will create you sufficient defense to end the engagement. Let's take an example. Could anyone link me a tracking disruptor, please? Anyone? Yes. Let's look at the tech one. You see the tracking speed effect and also the optimal range. And you can change these bonuses. You can increase them by using scripts. Now, what happens if you activate 3 tracking disruptors on a gunboat? Does anyone know the math? Yes, Igara.
Okay, there's stacking penalties. I don't know the exact math, but principle, the effect goes for every model lower, and that way that 3 are worth to fit or put on one target, and the 4th is mostly not worth to do it.
Well, there's one case, maybe I didn't make it clear. We are talking about 3 frigates. So each one has got a 1 tracking disruptor. So if they activate both tracking disruptors on a target, it won't have a stacking penalty. Now, and the math will be like this. Give me. Well, if you have a script, you have the double speed bonuses. So every time you affect one, you almost decrease reduce 35% of its tracking speed bonuses. And after activating 2 or 3 modules on any gunboat, none of them will be sufficient enough to track you with their guns. So, best tank for 3 frigates is, for a gunboat, 3 tracking Distractors, rather than putting shield or armor tank on them. And their range is starting from 40 kilometers, and you can easily fast lock any ship bigger than you and start activating your tracking Distractors. This will be your main damage. Likewise, let's look at the sensor dampeners. Could you link me one? Let's check this. If you use it with a tracking range bonus script, you will reduce your target's tracking range to 30%. If you activate 2 or 3 on any hurricane, their targeting range will drop below your gun range, and you will be out of danger in means of being attacked by that ship. So any 3 frigate could easily come over those ships with EWAR modules. By the way, you don't need EWAR specific ships. Just 3 modules will be sufficient enough to make the edge for you to leave. Don't forget, you will have your speed and agility, so all added up together, you will speed tank all of those damages. Now, I can hear the voice that, what about missile boats? What about drone boats? Now, as you may already guess, if it is a missile boat, you can use remote sensor dampeners with targeting range scripts, and you can demolish their targeting range. By this way, they can even lock you. That goes for the drone boats also. So that's why I specifically ask all of the members that have at least one EWAR module, either a remote sensor dampener or tracking Distractor. So basically, if we act together and everyone at least have one module, we may distribute these modules on our enemies and easily avoid the damage by utilizing EWAR and our speed and speed tank, or get away from the range of the enemy and easily catch them with their guns. Now, I see the questions about the Griffins. Yes, Griffin is something special. At least each wing should have one Griffin, because they are special frigates with very nice bonuses and even stronger than many cruisers. So Griffins is another story. And if you are going to use an ECM, it is better to use with Griffins. But when it comes to tracking Distractors and remote sensor dampeners, they are strong enough to be used in ordinary frigates. Now, these are the main basics that we will follow. I also told you not to use micro warp drive. Do you know the reason why? Maleficus, please answer. Maleficus. Okay, Kertor.
Because they increase your signature radius, as Maleficus has said, and that makes you take more damage.
Yes, exactly. Also, there is one effect of the increased signature radius. Could anyone give me why it is also important? Alex?
You get locked faster.
Yes, exactly. We are small ships. We have got small radiuses. So it's difficult to put damage on us with big guns, and it's difficult to lock us. In most cases, we will be against bigger hulks, and we will lock them faster. But if we use a micro warp drive, our signature size could reach up to cruiser size, and they can easily lock us and put more damage on us. So that's two-way lose. So it's not a wise decision to use micro warp drive. In advanced fleets, people may use interceptors. In this case, you can use micro warp drive with the interceptors. Also, if you are if you are using a webifier and a warp scrambler, yes, you may use a micro warp drive to approach your enemy, but you share that risk, and you should turn it off when you make your approach. Details of that approach was covered in tech class, or could be seen in the tackling guide. Well, Jack, you ask, so no micro warp drive on head tacklers. Well, if you are a short-range tackler with web scrambler, as I said, you can use micro warp drive, but you should be very carefully and use the spiral approach methods to avoid danger. By the way, that's why we are using afterburners, because they are friendly with your cap, they are giving you sufficient speed boost, and they are not increasing your signature radius. Now, let's come to this self-awareness issue. When we are in a Hydra field, you should know what you have got, your range, your E-War module, and you should be aware of in what group you are assigned, and you should engage your target within your experience. You should know how to approach it. You should know how to activate your E-War modules according to target, and you should have your self-initiative. For example, if your group is assigned to a Drake, for example, a missile bot, and you have got a tracking disruptor, you may switch to a secondary target with a gunboat, for example, or you can keep your sensor dampener on that missile bot and switch your tracking disruptor to a gunboat. These are the things that you should have in your initiative. You should have in yourself. You should decide those within the fleet. So fleet also moves together. I only assign you the targets, but when we're engaging, you should act according to your fit and your knowledge and try to survive. Now, if everything goes well and everyone acts according to their role, our E-War support will be sufficient enough to suppress the enemy. But anyway, if you are being targeted or getting damage, you can always warp off, lose the lock, and return to bounce and return back to engagement, because you are just a small frigate, and losing your DPS won't affect us, but losing you will affect the general of the fleet. So that's why you can always, when you get locked, you can always bounce and return back to fight. But also this is an assessment you should make, because if you see that your mates, your buddies, well E-War affect the target and it cannot put damage on you, you don't have to consider doing things. You should make your decision to either stay or get away. No, we don't want any suicide heroes or ECMs. Everyone should leave if they move according to their role. Now, what are the main dangers of frigate fleets? I think most of you know that. Can you give me some example for the dangers for the frigate fleets? Blade 02?
Snipers.
Yes, good one. Igaro, any more?
Smart bombing battleships.
Right. Kata, any more? Arok?
Drone boats.
Sure. Any more, guys? One more thing left. Yes, Arok, that can be accepted. Another one. Bombs, guys. Bombers. You should set your overview so that you can see upcoming bombs. So when someone in the fleet see a bomb in their overview, you should use your TeamSpeak and warn everyone as bomb, so that we can know that a bomb approaches. So bombs and smart bombers are the main dangers. Now, what happens if we see a smart bomb battleship? Do you know what is the range of the effective range of the smart bombs? Student A, please. 5Ks. Yes, it can be. Let's say 7Ks. If you are at least 6 or 7Ks, away from most of the smart bombers, you will be out of danger. If you remember, I told you to fit your ship's range at least more than 10 to 12 keys away from your targets, your optimum. So that's why it is. You will be way away of the smart bombing range. Also, if we use our E-Wars properly, you will be out of the targeting range, and at that orbit, it will be almost impossible for anyone to track you with their guns. By the way, because we are a big group, it will be difficult for them to demolish our power. For example, if we engage 2 or 3, even 4 battleships, we can take care with 3 wings. 3 to up to 4 wings. It's easy for us. They can't put any damage on us. We will permanently jam their offensive strength with our EVAR modules. And that's where our strength came from. Now, I basically describe you the concept. So, do you have any questions around those? I accept that you have got the basic knowledge on EVAR, tackling, and those kind of basic PvP knowledge. Do you have any questions about this? Arok, please. Well, about the scripts, Arok asked for Dampeners. Should we focus on signature radius? You should have both scripts for both tracking Disruptor and sensor dampeners, because we may change it according to our target. Also, you should have additional EVAR modules. For example, if you just want tracking Disruptor, you should have a sensor dampener also in your cargo hold, because we may dock up somewhere and change according to our target. According to scripts, if I tell you which script to use, you will use that one. If I don't tell you, you should assess the situation and use it. Usually for sensor dampeners, I prefer to use targeting range. If you put, as I said before, 3 or 4 sensor dampeners on any ship, you will demolish its targeting range and they will be useless. For tracking Distractors, usually for gunboats, depending on the race of the ship, for example, this depends on your PvP knowledge. I should accept this. Depending on the ship type you encounter, you can switch to tracking this Disruptor and avoid danger by speed tanking. And this should be the usual option you should use. But if we see that, for example, that ship somehow managed to track us, we can always switch to optimal range and reduce his optimal range where he or she can damage us. Well, Griffins is another story. Basically, you use the Griffins as it's been described in general EVAR doctrine. Rainbow is a nice choice, but if I were you, I drop the Minmatar racial version, because their sensor strength is not that much strong. The most problematic ones are Galante, Amar, and Kaldari. Maybe you can put an additional Kaldari or Amar. Okay, any more questions? Okay, Jack, go ahead.
What I actually was talking about is whether you want us to have 3 ECM mods fit and an afterburner on a Griffin, or just 4 ECM mods fit, no matter which type.
Well,
so speed or ECM?
Well, basically your range is much more greater than us, but in any case you will need an afterburner, because in some cases if we encounter some specific fleet types, for example interceptors and those kind of things, those will be very problematic for us and we may want to get away from them. Well, it won't make any difference, but may give you a little chance on that. You should decide it yourself according to your experience. For example, today we will do it in the first time. You can try it on the field. There is no specific recipe to use either this or that. Having a speed model is a good idea, and you may for specific griffins, maybe you can prefer a micro warp drive because your range is far ahead than us. But on the other hand, if you try that and see that it gives you a problem, you can switch to afterburner. So this is what I call self-awareness. You should use your ship type and see how it will affect. But the concept is fitting your ships according to speed, fitting your ships at least 10 to 12 Ks plus optimals, and fitting your ship without a micro warp drive, and also have at least one EUR module from either a tracking disruptor or a sensor dampener. Well, Jack has got a question. Should we sacrifice jamming range for targets? So get into our fallout. Well, as I tell you, because you will have your other fleet mates which will engage the enemy. They will reduce their targeting range or optimal or tracking. So you are also protected under the E-War umbrella, because whole fleet, even the smallest in the basic ship has at least one E-War module, which helps you to protect. So if you look at it, these all E-War modules create an umbrella, protective umbrella on every other member. Even fleet attacks on a single enemy, the hostile fleet, that E-War shield will protect all of us. That is our tank. E-War will be our tank. Speed and the E-War combination will protect you from most of the dangers. So you may sacrifice the range. 30 kilometers will be sufficient for you, because we will be much more closer and they may focus on us. If they manage to try to focus on us, they will miss our strength, and we start to affect them with our E-War modules. So this is where the E-War, where the Hydra trick starts to show itself. So staying in the 30 kilometer range could be sufficient for you. But as I told you before, we are going to try it with our own frigates in low sec, and you should observe it and decide the best fit works with it. We should all see it together. So that's why I ask you, all of the members, to have an at least experience on a little experience on PvP, E-War, and tackling. Well, Jack, we are not going to travel to nullsec, but you may run this fleet in a more advanced level in your future corporation in nullsec. I should warn you about all the dangers, just in case. It's not about being in nullsec or highsec. So, any more questions? I may miss the written ones